Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In Nier Reincarnation, let's do the fashion check for Griff. And these will be the Hatcher versions, suits or uniforms. I will do potentially 3 videos for him, which is also what I plan for Akeha. I have enough to say about his suits and military dress uniforms that it can be its own video. But we have the Christmas look first. The most striking thing is the coat. This is a Chesterfield type coat. The cut of the lapel, it's like a suit jacket, and it's pretty much always turned down. If your V-zone is cold, it is common to wear a scarf or muffler in there. And then this coat lapel has fur on it, which is very luxurious, and this might be beaver fur. I think that's because the hairs, they look long, dark, and shiny. And then in the back, we can see kind of the hint of a belt. This is more kind of a decorative, just impression of a belt. An older, more traditional coat would have an actual belt, but nowadays that is rare. And then, coat is double-breasted, I believe. Yeah, it's kind of covered by the scarf, but that must be double-breasted. That's a pretty wide lapel for a single-breasted. Typically, we don't want to leave double-breasted coats or jackets open, just because there'd be a lot of fabric in there. But it's pretty slimly cut, so it doesn't look bad overall. And then under the coat, we have a waistcoat, or a vest, but no sign of a suit jacket. This seems to be pretty common for this game, where kind of longer coats are worn as jackets directly over the waistcoat and the shirt. I don't know if this is a stylistic choice or what, but it does make it more fantastical and kind of more removed from the modern day real world. Like in real life, I would not recommend anyone wear an overcoat as a jacket, unless they were performing like in a play or a musical or something. Alright, and then here we have the fabric tied around the neck. This does not look like a necktie. This looks more like a fine silk handkerchief or stole tied around the neck. And then, although the history on neckties is murky, this is where it did come from. This is where it originated from, was silk scarves tied around the neck in this way. And then here, I'll talk real quick about proportion. But in men with their V-zone, you want your tie knot, tie width, shirt collar width, and then jacket collar width to all sort of be in harmony. So I look at this, and the scarf width feels too wide, considering everything else. If I were wearing this, I think that tie knot is okay, that size, but I would want a kind of a thinner of the body of it. Okay, next I want to look at the collar of the shirt. This is a wing collar, which is very formal. We can see these little triangles kind of jutting out above the necktie. Usually do not wear this with a like a long tie that comes down. Usually wear it with a bow tie. And then, of this entire outfit, there is one thing that is structurally kind of weird or inaccurate. And if you've seen my other fashion videos, then you know that I care about that very much. But we look at the collar from the front, it looks fine. But if we look at it from the back, it looks like it kind of disappears along the back of the neck. It's not bad. It's still kind of keeping his tie off of his neck. But a real kind of shirt collar would come up much higher. Maybe even peek up above the collar of the coat. And then I think that's really important for the collar to peek out behind the back. I think that's one of the cooler parts of a men's outfit. Alright, let's look at the trousers next. With true formal wear, and really anytime someone would wear a waistcoat, you'd want to wear braces or suspenders under the waistcoat. If you needed them to hold up your trousers. Ideally, your trousers would be tailored to your body to not need anything to keep it up. and a belt is not really meant to be worn with a waistcoat because they interfere with each other. But nobody knows that rule these days, it seems, not even designers. But this is a special case because this is a holster for his gun, I assume. Alright, and then we have his shoes. You can kind of see them there. The shoes are pretty basic, except it has tassel laces, which are rare these days, but they still sell them. Usually for more casual footwear, not formal. Alright, but did I talk enough about the Christmas version? I'm very glad I pulled him because I knew I would have a lot to say. Okay, next we have the anniversary version, and it has the typical black and gold combo for this game. And then he too also has a long coat, but this time it's actually closed with a real belt. And I like belts on coats. I don't own any at the moment, but I would like to own one sometime. I think the coat that most people now would wear with an actual belt would be a trench coat. And there's many ways to kind of style or tie that belt, so I do look forward to that. It kind of adds some drama to a coat. And then this collar. Also fur, I am assuming, it might be fox, is a shawl collar, which is rounded all the way around, with no notch like the Chesterfield coat that we saw in the previous outfit. And let's talk about this hat. If you know me, you know that I love hats, so I'm very critical of them. One of my biggest pet peeves is men wearing hats that are too small for their head. Pharrell, a few years ago, made waves with his big hat at the Grammys, but actually that is not far off the mark for how a hat should be sized. And I would much rather wear a hat that is too big than one that is too small. If you wear a hat that is too small, it really accentuates the jawline, or worse, your jowls, which most people don't want to do, and it makes your skull look small and pinheaded, which is not flattering. Most people's hair does not lay flat on their skull. There's a little volume. And if the hat you wear is small enough that it looks like it has less volume than your natural hair, then it's going to look weird and dumb, and it's going to mess up your kind of natural proportional harmony. But if you follow kind of like the standard sizing guidelines, then you can get a hat which fits your head. And in the front of the head, you want it to hit right above the eyebrow. And then in the back of the head, you want it to hit kind of the furthest back point. The drawing of Griff, it looks a little bit undersized, but in the computer graphics model here, it looks pretty good. It does look a little bit low, however. I'd like to have a bit of a higher crown on the hat. But yeah, especially when it comes to hats, kind of modern day men have forgotten how to wear one, and it can help to look in the past to see how hats should fit. And then here I'll just show some photos by August Sander from the beginning of the 20th century, but we can see that the hats are much more flattering and larger than we would think. Alright, but then to go back to talk about the outfit in general, he does not have a necktie here. This is like another just a piece of fabric, like silk, and then it's kind of attached with it's kind of like a bolo tie that they wear in Texas. And he's wearing a turtleneck underneath the dress shirt, which is interesting. Mock turtleneck, maybe. Okay, got some gloves. Let's see if I can see the shoes. They recently updated the character viewer so that it has freer movement with the camera, which is great, but also kind of makes it a little bit fiddly. I can't tell if that is a loafer or a boot. I'm gonna say loafer, and then it has a bit on it, like the famous Gucci loafer. So that's pretty cool. More formal. Yeah, we can see there on the back foot, that does look like a loafer. I feel like most of the Griffs wear boots. That's kind of a cool change for this version. Okay, finally, let's talk about Bloody Griff. And I went to the ceiling for this guy, and I've been using him in Arena, and no regrets. He's really good. But the first thing that I thought of when I saw this was the Italian police dress uniform of the Carabinieri. I don't know how you say that. But yeah, the Italians are stylish people, and they still dress like this to this day. So let's get in closer. Oh, let's do a hat check. Yeah, that looks like a good size for him, so that is fine. Oh, and then as for fitting on the sides, you don't want it to hit your ears. So, hit you in the front, above the eyebrows, hit you in the back at the farthest back point, and on the sides, hit you above the ears without touching. So yeah, this hat looks fine for him. But we got the epaulets with the tassels hanging down. I talked about this in Lars's video, but that's to kind of signify rank. And let's see. Trying to see if this is a double-breasted coat or not, but it looks like there's no fasteners at all. But what he's wearing underneath is double-breasted. We can see the 2 rows of buttons side by side. And we have an actual belt on the coat here. So maybe that's just the only place it's meant to be fastened. And then turned up, that underneath collar there. So we don't know if he's wearing a dress shirt or a tie under there. I would guess not. But that is very kind of attached to military, while everyday suits are more sort of turned down. Or they're always turned down, rather. Okay, got a sash across the middle there. That's kind of also related to the military. And there's an interesting thing about like what direction the stripes go on your necktie. Maybe this is also related here. But if the stripes, if they go down from your right shoulder down to your left hip, it kind of leads to where you would have that sword on the side in that scabbard. But what they do for more modern neckties is that they'll have the stripe go the other way, from your left shoulder down to your right hip, so that it's different from the military connotation. Kind of a funny bit of trivia there. Okay, and then trousers tucked into the boots. Let's see if we can see the boots. Looks like lots of belts strapped along the front, and then a round toe boot, which is maybe fine for walking. Alright, but pretty cool. That was a fashion check for the Hatcher versions of Griff. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.